Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram. We are here to discuss the final episode of Miss Marvel, episode 6, No Normal. It's been a fun show up until now. I got some thoughts on this final episode, but Akram, I'd love to hear what you thought about the final episode.
Well, finally, we're back to reviewing the show, and finally, I'm glad that we get to finish it off in good quality. Thank you guys for watching, as always. I love the show, to be honest with you, and I think it was a really wholesome series thus far. I hope there's a season 2, but I know that her story will continue in the Marvels, and I felt like this episode was the culmination of everything that happened before, and I'm glad it led strong to this episode, and I think it was worth the time from viewers especially. So what did you think about it?
I agree for the most part. I think it was a very wholesome show. I think it talked a lot about very like cultural and familial topics that, especially in the Pakistani and Arabic community. But also think like even if you're not affiliated with that, I feel like as a minority you could still appreciate it because you can appreciate your own culture as well. So I think it was a beautiful show in that regard. But yeah, as far as the story, I feel like I'm glad that she now kind of has become the superhero that we know. I'm glad that we finally get to see her costume and it looks great on her. And her powers too. Yeah, it feels like she's actually like mastered her powers. It doesn't feel like she's still like learning, like she actually has more control now. Yeah, so this episode takes place right after the last one where she left Pakistan. And so Kamran has these like clandestine powers. I was a little confused on that. I wasn't sure how he got those powers because it wasn't really like explained well. Like his mother like closed the veil or the Noor, I think that is what they call it. And she kind of like sacrificed herself. That I didn't really like get like how he got like those powers about like a bangle. Like it's not really really in depth how they, because it's a original concept. It's not like you said. It's the Terrigen Mist. It's a totally new concept for this show. Um, I think his character was all right. I think they tried to make him appear like he was kind of like a conflicted character. But I liked that he didn't turn like into like a full villain. I think that would have been like too corny. I think the real villains of this show weren't even the clandestines. I think it was Damage Control, really, because you saw that lady. She was kind of like off the rails a bit, and she was kind of um, going against orders and trying to like kill them basically. But this was a fun episode. I think this is the best episode of this series so far, and I think it was really empowering for Kamala's character. I'm glad that like her family like accepted her, and that her mom especially, like I know they kind of had like a very like distant relationship in the beginning of the show, but now she's kind of like come around and she's been like very accepting of Kamala, like not just like who she is, but like just like every part of her, like from her what's it called, secret identity, I guess. Sorry, I blanked out there. But yeah, and it's cool. And it's like, and her whole community is also behind her too, which is really cool. It was very empowering. But yeah, tell me else, what did you think of this episode?
It was, yeah, the whole thing like with her family was so beautiful. We don't really see that. Like usually you have to hide the secret. And I like that. It kind of reminds me also of Spider-Man, where Aunt May, like she figures out that he's Spider-Man. And in a way she was like, she was really supportive. And Kamala's family is like really supportive, and I find it really beautiful because, again, it's a clash of like two different things that Kamala has going on in her life. She has her culture, religion, and she also has this superhero identity and these powers that she must control and must fight the clandestines and DOD. Really cool. I think they pulled it off, honestly, and there were some like pacing issues. I think that you had issues before. I didn't really notice them. The only thing I noticed was like, it was kind of weird. But it was sweet, but it was weird when Kamala's mom, like, she made the costume for
She made that shit
Kamala,
fast. I was
and
like, damn, she
very
must have like
fast
had that.
and professional.
I know. I was like, damn, I
Yeah,
should have like hired her for my next cosplay or something.
I
Shit.
know. Yeah, I mean, I think there were little notes that you could pick up
Mhm.
from each episode of like Kamala acquiring like certain things that would eventually be her actual costume for
Mhm.
Miss Marvel. Like the little
And isn't
little
it?
scarf
Yeah, it's
thing.
interesting because like every person that helped her in the show kind of gave her little bit of her costume, right? and the dad too
Yeah, yeah.
gave her her name at the end too. So I think that was really cool. It's
Mm.
like her family was so like apprehensive about her being a superhero, but at the end, like they kind of gave her the tools, you know, to become a hero, which I think is really interesting.
And it's weird too because she did travel back in time to save herself as well. I mean, well, save her grandmother as well. So it's like it's all in the family. And it ties a lot to like fate as well. And it's really beautiful. Like even the chain that was broken, it's not really broken because that defines now Miss Marvel,
It's the
you know?
lightning bolt.
It's really
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, honestly, I find it really, really uh like beautiful and
Mhm.
satisfying as well. And again, it's a kids show. Like that's what we've been like seeing thus far, and I think it's okay. I think the whole series in
Mhm.
general is wholesome. It's cleanly put together, and I think it's worth rewatching. I just find it funny how like each Marvel show, like this reminded me kind of Falcon and the Winter Soldier when Sam got finally the costume at the
Mhm.
end, and like there's always like a huge battle at the end of each like type of season finale. But I want to know your thoughts. So what did you think about that whole high school fiasco that happened, which was kind of unrealistic, but it was
It was
funny.
corny for me, like this, like I think you said it in our Instagram review. This kind of felt like an ABC or like a Hulu kind of show, like maybe like the Marvel Runaways type of like show. Um, I thought the supporting cast was nice. It's cool that she has like a support unit. Like even that one girl that kind of like bullied her in the
Mm,
beginning. She came around and she like became her friend at the. But although I thought it was like corny, the like at the end when they were doing the TikTok thing, I think that was so cringe. Like everybody was like making TikToks about it
yeah.
and shit. So I hate when like they try so hard to like make it like modern, but it was fun.
Mm.
But I still couldn't believe like you mean tell me like those damage control dudes like lost to fucking like baseballs and like inflating I was like, come on now. It's like you guys are trained to take on fucking like metahumans. You mean tell me you lost to like high schoolers and shit? But I don't know. I think like damage control like they were kind of annoying too, but like I guess you could say like they're trying to be like those like oppressive people, I guess, that were like trying to like downplay like society and like minorities and stuff. But
Well, I like the fact that it wasn't just damage control, it's actually the lady in charge. Because if you looked at like a lot of scenes, some of the damage control, like other agents were like a
mhm,
little bit like scoffing at her or like bumps into her. Like in this episode, somebody bumped into her and she looked like that or whatever.
mhm,
So I like how, in a way, you could kind of compare this to like, usually like one figure in charge of like a department is usually the problem. It's not everyone
right.
else in the department as well. So that gives exposure to that at least. And what did you think about the whole fight towards the end between Kamran and Kamala? I felt like it was great, honestly. And she, in Biggin,
And
finally,
big,
we kept the saying that she might say it. She said it. Yes.
yeah, that was cool. She got like this cool because I was thinking like in the beginning or the other episode, she was making like this cool like armor made out of like her
Mm,
powers, but she got like this cool like it actually looked a lot like her yeah like her powers in the comics too, where like she was kind of like stretchy. So it kind of
mm.
fits, you know. It's not too far off from her comic book counterpart. Yeah, the fight was cool. I thought it was a cool like show of their powers. I think Kamran actually could have been more powerful. I feel like he was like because what was was like he holding back the veil or something? I feel like
No, I think it was just poisoning him, and he can't control it well. And also, it was like we'll talk more about this because the ending really surprised a lot of fans. But I think it was that I think he just wasn't prepared. Whereas Kamala,
mhm,
and it could also affect different people because he is like a clandestine. I know that Kamala apparently is like a gypsy or something like that, but I think those are just labels. As Kamala says, I think that she's something entirely different, and Cameron is as
mhm.
well. But you are completely right about him too. Like it's so weird how he got these powers, and he hears his mother. So I think it's much more than something genetic, right?
I feel like
So
his mother might not even be dead. I feel like
mm,
they may have like found a way back home. And that's why like he heard
right.
her voice like calling to him. Um, so that makes me wonder like if this show gets like a season 2, like what's are we gonna see like him? Because we did see like he did escape and he's with Red Dagger. So as like Red Dagger and like
Mm.
train him how to use his powers. Is he gonna find like a is he gonna be like a bridge to like the other world too?
Right.
Yeah, I think overall I enjoyed this episode. Just little things like confuse me, so I would give it an 8 out of 10, honestly. For this episode and this show as a whole, I think I would give it an 8 out of 10. How would you rate it?
Yeah, I would. I honestly, this episode I'll give an 8 out of 10. Realistically speaking, for the whole show, like the whole show in general, probably a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 10 out of 10 because there were some reveals here. So Bruno, like before, like they're saying their goodbyes and whatnot. Bruno says to Kamala that, long story short, you're a mutant, and then the little theme song plays in the background, which is awesome. Right. What do you think about that? Did that surprise you
That
completely?
confused the hell out of me. I was like, "What?"
Right.
That like, I know a lot of people are, like, shocked and hype about it because we're finally getting the introduction of, like, the mutants and the X-Men, but that didn't make any sense for me. I feel like that was not the show to do that. I feel like because it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, so her bangle is how she got her powers, right? So you mean tell me if she doesn't have the bangle, like, she still has the X gene, like, what were her power I feel like if anything, it would've been cool to see, like, Bruno maybe have, like, wouldn't that be so interesting, like, instead of the college that he was going to, like, he gets, like, a invitation to, like, Xavier's, like, school of, like, gifted youngsters or something, like, because he's super smart,
Yeah.
right? Because that could be, like, an actual power. I think a lot of, like, mutants are actually, like, hyper intelligent. So wouldn't that be cool if, like, he had, like, an X gene? Because I think for Kamala, like, because she already has powers, like, and she's not a mutant in the comics either, so I think that was a little weird to reinterpret her character like that, but how did you feel about it?
Well, here's the thing. So we figure out that Kamala's bangle does not give her her powers. So all this time, the bangle was just a nega ban, right? Because the end credit, which we'll talk about right now, or soon, that's just a nega ban. I think that that just controls like seeing her ancestors or like going to a different dimension, and also she went back in time due to the nega ban. The nega ban, you just travel through the negative zone, right? And so I'm pretty sure uh, we're gonna see a lot more of that in Captain or the Marvels. Her being a mutant, honestly, I didn't like it that much, but I think it worked. Wolverine, after all, did like train her how to use her powers in the comics, and like, I would have preferred her to be an Inhuman, but you would have to place like you were saying about Bruno, but then you would have to place that in there, like so that increases the runtime, and there's not that many episodes they got just to do that. Because to be a mutant, especially in MCU, you're introducing a lot of things. So I actually feel like this was the appropriate time because you didn't have to do much work. You're a mutant. Name drop, boom, theme song, right? And then so now we know the next phase of the MCU will most likely be about mutants. Um, so I think it made sense for me. It's okay because that means that Kamala can have these powers, and that means she's actually really stronger, right? She's actually really special without the use of the Nega Band. So the Nega Band is just a teleporter, and you could teleport through dimensions and space and
Mhm,
time. And I find that really cool, because that could be a leeway for Shang Chi, right?
mhm.
And there was like the 10 Rings mentioned here in this series. And plus the end too, and it makes so much sense. Like if you think about it, like the end of Shang Chi had Captain Marvel, which comes to my next point. The end credit showed Captain Marvel switching places with Miss Marvel, right, in the room, and she has a costume upgrade. I bet that scared the shit out of you too. I was like, well, I
I
thought it
was
was
just
blood at first. I thought it was like
I was
gory.
just confused. I was just like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't expect her. Like, I figured we'd see her once in this show, but I didn't expect her to, like, swap places. Like, I was a little confused. I know I'm not, like, a huge, like, the Marvels, like, expert, but I know the Marvels, series that they're planning will also have, Monica Rambeau, from
Yeah.
WandaVision, so it'll be cool, like, to see them, like, work as a unit too. And I really feel like I was talking about this earlier. I feel like the Marvels may
Mhm.
set up, Secret Wars with the Skrulls, because remember at the end of WandaVision, we did see, Monica Rambeau. She talked to a Skrull. But also Captain Marvel's involved with the Kree also. So maybe it's like
Right.
this big like war between the Skrulls and the Kree. Maybe they're fighting over like Earth. Um, but there's not that many Avengers left, because they're pretty much disbanded by this time. So it'll be interesting to see like how that affects every. I feel like that's gonna be like the next big like setup, other than like Kang from like
Yeah.
Loki. But that the X-Men thing still kind of confused me. But yeah, what did you think about it?
Well, you have a great point because I one critique I have about the MCU is I always feel like the civilians are all like NPCs. So wouldn't that be great and a really compelling like showcase of like uh what allegiance you have, like Skrulls, Kree, and humans. Like who's worse in this war? I think that's gonna be really cool because I think a lot more civilians like. I hope that they do them justice, and I hope that you don't need superpowers. You could just be a regular person to do good. I hope they showcase that. I really do. Um, and you and me are crossed on the mutant thing. Like I actually am down for it. I don't mind. Like I would have preferred since the beginning for her
Mhm.
to not be like a Green Lantern copycat. I would have liked for her to kind of be like a fantastic, Mr. Fantastic, like how she is in the comics,
I just
stretchy.
think
But
it kind of took away from her I guess identity in a way because like they were trying to make it seem like oh because she was half clandestine that's what made her special. But now it's like you just suddenly like drop out of the blue the X-Men thing. That's kind of just like oh okay well that's the real reason that makes her special. Right? I don't know. It just kind of felt weird for me.
well, the creators from the comics they wanted her to be a mutant since the start too. So I'm pretty sure they were talking closely to them. I see that's me and you are like we're differing on this because I really don't feel like it took away from. I mean, we got all the culture stuff, aside, and in the Nega Band, like I think it's kind of it's great. It's one more thing she has to deal with, that the fact that and it doesn't affect her. Like she said, it's just another label. Like this doesn't affect her too. It's just another label, right? Like what's the difference between an inhuman and a mutant? Well, it's just how you get there. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's like okay to like name drop it, but the main thing you should take from it is the end credit. Um, and she's basically one of the first mutants that we see in the MCU until we see uh Namor and Black Panther, because he's gonna be the first mutant, I guess, like
Mhm.
chronologically speaking, because he's
Well,
super
no,
old.
technically no because we
um
saw Charles Xavier in
well, 616,
yeah
that's what I was saying,
yeah yeah
616,
that
yeah.
makes sense 616.
Yeah, so yeah, but give us your final thoughts. This has been a great series to review. I think you and I could both agree that we had fun, and we had a lot of shitty technical problems too in some
Yeah,
episodes.
I
We
mean, it
apologize.
was a ride, just because we had so many problems on our end. But thank you guys so much. If you stuck to the end and if you watched all our and thank you so much for that one episode that we got like almost 1,000 views on for Miss Marvel. So thank you to Miss Marvel for getting us clout too. But yeah, we really appreciate you guys. We just did a review for Thor: Love and Thunder. Check that out. We just reviewed Resident Evil, Terminal List, whole lot of bunch of projects too. We're about to wrap up The Boys. We did do a finale review, but it was kind of trash. If you watched our update video, so we are gonna record it, and we're gonna have a special treat. We're gonna talk about The Boys as a whole as a series in our Let's Talk About It series, which we're happy to introduce. So thank you guys so much. Please check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. We have a Facebook page now. Please follow us for updates. Our Instagram is also linked. You can check out our own Instagrams. Akram's channel, Green Steel. He does a lot of great video essays as well. So please check those out. So yeah, thank you so much. And until then, thank you for having lunch with us.
See you guys. Thank you.